Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
This episode makes me uncomfortable because I feel like I'm firmly within your guys' territory here. Usually in the evenings we get on and you're both like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm Evan and I'm so tired. And it's like, I say I'm tired too, but anything that I've done to make myself, or anything that's happened to make myself tired in the evening is my own fault purely. Like last night, I said to Mel, hey, we're recording like early in the morning, so I'm going to go to bed early. And I was at like 11-ish. And then at 2 a.m. we got up to go to bed. So that's on me. But in the just mornings in general, you guys can probably tell on YouTube, my eyes are like more closed than they usually are. It's not my domain. I'm working on it. I'm trying to become a morning person, but it's not my domain. And I just feel like you guys have this energy that I can't access right now. And it's going to really dominate me this episode. And I'm uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, I've already been up for 2 hours, had a shower, fed the kids. It's been like my day's well underway at this point. Even though I am tired as hell because Crystal unexpectedly invited me over to her friend's house last night after I was done 5 hours of golfing at 7:30 and then had to drive half an hour to the far side of Cambridge and was there until like midnight. And then 12:30 by the time I'm home, 1 o'clock by the time I'm sleeping. Hank still got up at the crack of stupid. So yeah, normal.
I would have said no.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to be angry on this podcast anymore. I felt good about what we did last episode. I felt good about how much catharsis we instilled into that episode. And if we ever get upset about it, I'm just going to go back and listen to that. I almost never listen to our old episodes, but I'll just go back and listen to that. But from now, as what's done is done, and it's what's stupid is stupid. And people want to have an objective conversation about that, let's do it. Hell yeah, let's do it. But I'm done being pissed off. The 4th overall pick is coming up for Detroit. We have lots to break down. There's like a million options for them. So who has time to be pissed? Since when are we mad?
I'm never mad.
I believe that, actually. I don't think I've ever seen you angry in my life.
Oh, well, when we golf and I play terrible, you'll see it.
Yeah, but such a thing never happens. So
it's true.
Ryan says he's never going to be angry again until the Pittsburgh Penguins win the draft lottery, in which case Ryan will melt down for exactly 1 calendar month.
Yeah. I would love to say that I'm going to hold my integrity and be past that, but that's just not the case. We all know it. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, mostly conscious and gaining every second. I'm Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad.
I'm Evan.
Seasonal allergies, Evan.
I just took an allergy pill like half hour before, so I'm just waiting.
What is it?
Waiting patiently for my allergies to dissipate.
What are you allergic to? Air?
Sometimes my cat, when he jumps on my face at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, this episode's a fun one. It's going to be our first complete one-round mock draft. 1 round plus 1. Let's be real. We're not ignoring that pick 32. Mock draft after knowing Detroit's draft position. So the draft order I still had to do a little bit of guessing with this morning, and you guys are not going to like the results. But it's going to be our first time doing that, and we will get to that in a minute. But we have some other things to talk about as well. Some Red Wings related news, some Hub City news. My God, there's so much news, non-news with Hub Cities, some CBA stuff, and then of course, overtime. But first, let's start with the Red Wings draft pick, which recently got drafted again
in Michigan.
With the Saginaw Spirit. Albin
Greva.
You say it like that, Brad. You have to take the lead on this one.
Okay. Well, it's just arguably the most fun name in the entire Red Wings organization right now. So how could you not say it like that? Oh, right, because it's not even 9 o'clock in the morning yet. So, sorry, Ryan. So he was drafted by Saginaw in the CHL import draft, which I think came out of left field for just about everybody because normally Swedish prospects stay in Sweden, but Seeing how comically low Graeva's ice time was in the SHL this year, I could see either him wanting out to play a more prominent role on another team, or the Red Wings saying, yeah, dude, you're not going through that again. We need you playing. And so Stevie called up his buddy Ozzy and Devellano, who own the Saginaw Spirit, and said, hey, we're bringing this kid over. Please select him. Because the CHL import draft doesn't work like a normal draft. It's, without getting into the minutia of it, it's just basically glorified free agency. It's an agreement between general managers and agents because players will report to some teams but not others, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I nobody knows yet what side initiated Graeva going to Saginaw. And I should note, it's not confirmed that he's going to Saginaw yet. But from everything everybody's been saying, it sure as hell sounds like he's going. But honestly, I really like the move because he'll be in Michigan. The Red Wings can track his progress, get updates, give him whatever they want him to work on, like in literal real time. And given that he was, basically a very late second round pick, early third round pick for them, you want to be sure his development is going exactly as you want it. And if we're being honest, Graeva's style of game is much better suited to smaller North American ice anyway, so might as well get him over here, put him in a junior league, let him acclimate, and then I would assume the plan next year is he's in Saginaw for a year and then Grand Rapids the year after.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially considering how rough or I guess non-productive his season was this year over in Europe. You would want to have seen him do more, but it's always a funny game when you get players drafted, especially in extremely strong leagues like in Sweden. Those teams aren't always going to give those players a ton of ice time because they're not necessarily the best players on their teams. If you're a 17, like an 18-year-old playing in one of the best leagues in the world, like, probably the second or third best league that's not the NHL, wherever you are, they're not going to be playing you on the first line power play unit or top 6 minutes. You're going to have to work your way up, and it's really hard for a team to assess their talent overseas if they're getting like 7.5 minutes a night and then like 2 minutes of PK time versus bring them over to Saginaw, where sure, the quality of competition's lower, you get some more meaningful minutes, and then as Brad mentioned, he transitioned them to the North American game. I know we do get some questions about that sometimes. People ask, what do you mean by the North American game? There is a different play style that happens generally, but for the most part, it's the smaller ice, and the play style is born of the smaller ice. So you do find that some players don't exactly transition well when they are used to playing on the large international ice. It's what happened for a lot of like international tournaments, depending on where they're being played, obviously. A lot more wide open, wider, exhausting for players, tougher to defend in terms of, changing puck possession, but also easier for goalies, or I guess harder for players to score because is it harder for players to score
in Europe?
Yeah, I don't know.
That
one's kind of difficult because if you can take advantage of the angles, it could actually be better for you.
It plays slower. It's a lower scoring game because the problem but for me, I don't know if that's a difficulty issue though, because with how big the ice is, players have a lot more time to make decisions with the puck, which means they generally slow the game down.
It is a slower game, yeah.
So when you slow the game down, that means, less is happening, so less shots on net, less scoring chances, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas over here, you've got to make up your mind what you're doing pretty quickly, lest a 6'2" defenseman from Moose Jaw put you into the fourth row. So it picks up the pace. And again, with the type of physical agitating style Graeva plays with a combination of some actual decent skill, I think he'll be better suited over here. So if we want to get him in Grand Rapids when he turns 20, then probably best to acclimate him for a year in junior.
And if that means a longer time in the AHL before he makes it, then so be it. He was a 3rd round pick. If he makes it, then that's success. So A lot of Tyler Bertuzzi vibes, with Albin.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, it was surprising. I saw it. I was like, oh, okay. Well, it's different. I don't know. Some people were saying, well, does that mean he's a bust? No. If you know your third round pick this early is a bust or is going to make it, then they shouldn't have been a third round pick.
And I know like we referenced like his low ice time in Sweden, but I don't think people truly appreciate how bad it was, because we're talking about going into this draft with Lucas Raymond getting like roughly 10 minutes a game for Frölunda, and oh my God, that's like, no wonder he didn't do well. That's no ice time. In a lot of games, Grava got a third of that. It would show up on the stat sheet that he played like 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Like, what? I don't care how good a player is or how good that league is. You don't ever under any circumstance wanting your prospect playing 3 minutes a night.
Oh, that was annoying. It was so annoying to see. I think part of it was, and this is pure conjecture, but they're not going to play him a ton if he's been a liability lately, because he was a little bit of he racked up the penalty minutes. He was like me on the golf course. I don't know the reference there, but I'm sure it works. Okay. You guys want to do mock draft?
Yeah.
Let us draft.
So a couple fun quirks to this. I put a poll up on Twitter yesterday and said, you guys pick who is drafting first. As expected, Evan won with an overwhelming majority.
I am the man of the people. That was just a rhetorical question you were asking.
So the draft order will be, and we're just going to cycle through. We're not going to assign us teams. I have not had nearly enough of the coffee next to me to do that. It's going to be Evan and then Brad and then myself, and then repeat that for 32 picks. So, we had to determine the order of the draft, and that means the first overall pick, and that means everything behind it. So what I did was I simulated the 8 play-in series based on win probabilities that I found, more or less accurate-ish. I don't know. And then I took the losers from those series and I put them into the lottery. And I didn't complicate it after that. I just, for the rest of the order, I just kind of used a site that had it all laid out because I didn't want to get cute with who owns what draft picks. I just wanted like a solid resource. But the winner of our first mock draft post lottery is the Montreal Canadiens.
I'm out.
See you later. Oh, I had a joke all lined up too. If we were just going to hold it as the placeholder team, and I was going to say the Toronto Maple Leafs are proud to select.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, it's not the placeholder, unfortunately. When I put up that stupid graphic talking about what teams deserve to win it and what don't, there were so many like genuinely hurt Habs fans. And like, I'm not even making fun of them. Like, they were like, well, why not the Habs? Like, we're really bad. This just feels mean for no reason. And I'm like, oh, how I feel like an ass. I was just being petty.
There's a class action lawsuit coming your way, I'm sure. You won't be able to read it because it's in French. But
no, yeah. I stopped learning French a long time ago. I'll lose that.
Bizarre how we could do like 10 plus years of French and I don't know a lick of French.
No, not even a little bit. Okay. So, I'll read out the teams. I will do my best to give you context as to who owns the pick and why, if it's like a different pick. And if I miss one, just call me on it. And if I make it up, who cares? It's a mock draft. Any questions, gentlemen, before we get started?
Nope.
Golden.
Evan with the first overall pick for the Montreal Canadiens.
They're not even going to say anything. All they're going to do is put up a picture of Alexis Lafreniere in his bed sheets that are Montreal Canadian bed sheets, and that's it. And they're going to walk off the stage. So for the first overall pick, they're taking Alexis Lafreniere.
And for the big picks, we'll talk about it a little bit. This would change Montreal's franchise in a way that, or at least this is what they will hope. It's going to change their franchise in a way that hasn't happened since
Carey Price?
Is this bigger than Carey Price to them?
Yes, because this guy's French.
This is their dream. This is their Sidney Crosby pick, but French Canadian.
Yes.
This is every Montreal Canadiens fan's wet dream. 100%.
That is one very, very excited fan base if they get the first overall pick.
Oh my God. I can't tell if they're going to burn the city to the ground or build the city up. One of the two.
Once they wake up from their the blood loss from their massive
blood loss. All right, Brad, you are selecting for the Luc Robitaille scoffed LA Kings second overall.
Lucky Luke. Well, the LA Kings have won multiple Stanley Cups, having a big, skilled centerman as the centerpiece of the team. So they know the formula that works, and they will take from the Sudbury Wolves, Quinton Byfield.
Yeah.
He was going to be scary good in like 4 years.
What gets me is LA really, really took their time with deciding that they're going to rebuild, and they made some questionable moves doing so. The Doughty contract being one of them. They kind of got themselves into this contract lockup, which was looking very similar to Detroit. Longtime listeners will remember us saying things like, yeah, they're projecting to how Detroit is now in a few years, so LA has to get some strokes of luck. Alex Turcotte and Quinton Byfield, 1 year after another, is one hell of a way to just smash through that. If people have become hockey fans just over the past 5 years or so when the Red Wings have been bad, and you're like, does every team go through this? What the Red Wings are going through? No, the answer is no. Sometimes they get amazing luck like that, and it's enough to overcome. We are
the anti-LA Kings.
Oh yeah,
in terms of luck.
Yeah,
like they have improved because of this draft lottery system, and we have certainly been on the other side of that spectrum. So congrats to them. I hate them so much because they get to be excited about a draft year in and year out, and we just have pain and misery, even though we get good prospects. But it would be nice to have Quinton Byfield this year.
And this is only 6 years removed from a cup.
Yeah.
It'll take them a few years to get their feet under them. I think they're kind of notorious for that. But at the same time, like, it's not bad when you have your top two centers of the future already locked up.
Well, their center depth going forward is going to be insane. Like, is Alex Turcotte a centerman?
Yep.
Gabe Vilardi?
Yep.
Akil Thomas?
Not sure, but I think so, yeah.
And Rasmus Kupari?
Yep.
That is absurd. That is absurd.
Akil Thomas is a winger now. I don't care what he played in Niagara. He is a winger.
Well, regardless, when you have that many pieces, if you need to trade at some point, it just allows you flexibility. So they are in a very good position going in to the future.
Well, I don't know what their cap situation is like right now, actually, but they might have to do some things to work around that. But you know what a great way to get past some long-term poor cap deals are? Is to have your entire core locked up on ELCs. So
yes, or bring in Loophole Lou for a couple of years.
Yeah. Okay, so that means I am picking third overall for the Ottawa Senators, which, funny enough, it's not actually their pick; it's the San Jose pick. So the Ottawa Senators, by way of San Jose, in the Erik Karlsson deal, well, they traded away a defenseman. And so it's only natural that they select Tim Stützle.
I knew you were going to do that, and I hate you for it.
The old misdirect.
Just like in my mind, it's clear that Quinton Byfield is number 2. I don't think Tim Stützle is far behind. If Brad went with Stützle, I don't think there would have been any real argument from anyone, but no. The Sens are going to jump at the opportunity to take a high-flying, elite skater, possibly elite player from this draft that could neither play on the wing or fill out their center depth. So, and I use depth lightly because he's could be that good. Tim Stützle would be a great get for them, third overall, possibly the second best player in this draft. All right, Evan, moment of truth for the Red Wings, fourth overall, first time we're doing this.
The Red Wings need to do as best they can to convince Pierre Dorian that they're taking Jamie Drysdale at 4.
Oh, yeah.
And I still think that they'll take the risk in taking Stützle and leaving Jamie Drysdale there just to call Detroit's bluff. And because I'd rather have Tim Stützle, to be honest. But you never know what's going on in Ottawa. They're the true wild card at 3. But I hummed and hawed about this pick for a while, and I kind of did process of elimination. I don't think we're taking Drysdale. And as much as people like Marco Rossi, GMs are still bullish about guys under 6 feet playing center or playing forward in the NHL. I honestly, I get that same. I called Philip Zadina, and I am the prophet of truth. The Red Wings are selecting Cole Perfetti.
Oh, all right. You called it.
I said this off air last week, and I'll say it now on the record. I see a lot of Pavel Datsyuk in Cole Perfetti. And I know people aren't a huge fan of that pick, and I'm really not either because I really like Lucas Raymond's game. Those are the two I had there, and then Jamie Drysdale, or if anyone fell. But I think he's just so dangerous in one-on-one situations, and I don't think he needs top-end speed to be a proficient NHL player. So I think they take him at 4.
That line has stuck with me. What you said, Evan, ever since you said it. I think, did you say that off air, the Datsuk thing?
Yeah, that was after last episode.
The 3 of us in our group chat have started this like intense rewatch of all highlights going back like 15 years on all these prospects. And I am determined to start from a completely blank slate on all prospects, including Cole Perfetti. So 1, you don't question the prophet of truth, as Evan just did. But 2, no, I'm really trying to, we're trying to dedicate time to seeing Cole Perfetti from fresh eyes as well, because when you give so much attention to Raymond and Rossi and, you know, the top 3 that we talked about for so long, it has a way of pushing the Perfettis to the side when maybe that wasn't necessarily fair. Moving on, Brad, you are drafting for Ottawa with their actual pick, 5th overall.
So if this were just a straight up, I am the GM of the Ottawa Senators here, I think it would surprise absolutely nobody that I would take Lucas Raymond. But given that I do have to factor Pierre Dorion into this decision and maybe even a little bit of Uncle Eugene, Ottawa would take a very long, hard look at a defenseman here. But one player they've probably taken a long, hard look at a position of need for them, who literally has been playing under their noses all year. I would be surprised if the Ottawa Senators passed on Marco Rossi here.
I would be shocked as well.
They would be able to complete 2/3 of their top line in a span of 3 picks. You can put Stützle on the wing, then you don't have to shoehorn him into center. Although if you wanted to split him and Rossi up, you could do it. But then you're sitting here with an elite playmaking center. Yeah, I think Ottawa shocks the world and passes on Raymond and passes on Drysdale and goes for Marco Rossi.
That's an interesting pick. I was really expecting you to go Drysdale there.
Yeah, I like common sense, not common sense, but like you would expect to go forward and defenseman, but Shabbat's young, Brandstrom's young. They got a couple other guys in the system. The nice thing for Ottawa is they have 7 picks in the first 2 rounds this year. They've got an already loaded prospect system. They don't have to shoehorn position in here. I know there's theories going around that they might try to do that, but they are under absolutely zero obligation to do that. They've got another first round pick coming up. They have 4 second round picks. They can pick whoever the hell they want here. And again, if we're just talking best player available, they could do that. And to me, that would be Lucas Raymond here. But given that Rossi's been playing in Ottawa, they just took a winger. He's a centerman, and he would be the next best player on my board as well, ahead of Drysdale regardless. I think Rossi makes too much sense here.
Their center depth doesn't look that great either. Like Philip Schlappick, and Logan Brown are really the only 2 that pop into my head in terms of depth. So they should be hunting for a centerman early in this draft. And their D prospects are pretty strong. Like Eric Brandstrom's on there. Max Lajoie, is he good?
Yeah, he had a really strong year.
So, and especially knowing that next year's defensive prospects or draft prospects are going to be quite strong and quite plentiful, I think this is the year you shore up your offense.
That pick has thrown a wrench in my plans, and now I'm picking for Anaheim 6 overall. And do you take who I think is still the best player available on the board in Lucas Raymond, or do you acknowledge the fact that there is no way in hell Jamie Drysdale is dropping past 6 overall? I can't speak with complete knowledge to Anaheim's depth down the right side, but taking a quick peek here, it definitely wouldn't hurt to take Jamie Drysdale. And that's what I'm going to do. Anaheim's going to take Jamie Drysdale 6 overall, and they're going to consider it a treat. And I will guarantee you guys in the actual draft, we are not going to get to pick 6 without seeing one of Drysdale and or Sanderson. But that's the beauty of mock drafts. And just doing this now, we in our own way have found out a possible scenario in which Lucas Raymond falls to the latter half of the top 10 picks, which would have seemed preposterous before.
Also, this would be the first draft in, I think someone was saying, like 20 years where no defensemen go in the top 5.
Who'd you just take, Ryan? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out who to take for New Jersey.
Jamie Drysdale.
Okay.
Yeah, Drysdale, again, another pick that I'm looking at really, really intently. Such a great skater, such a smooth skater. His talent in skating doesn't come necessarily from top end speed, but transition work, edge work, ability to do all that with the puck. Excellent playmaker, great vision with the puck as he enters the offensive zone. Has a tendency to dish it out. Not a fantastic shooter, but still.
He's still young. Like, that shot can definitely improve with some mass.
Oh yeah. And you know what? Like, you look at probability of scoring from the blue line. If you had a choice between having a shooting defenseman who couldn't pass, but a passing defenseman who wasn't a great shooter, I'd probably pick the latter.
His skating is something else.
Yeah. He is the holes in his game come in his own zone. And I, as a hockey fan, really value when defensemen play defense. I think I've been spoiled by watching Nick Lidstrom growing up, but that's just me. Still, I see him as a clear-cut best defenseman in this draft. I don't see him as a Cale Makar impact kind of guy, but that isn't going to be common, and we kind of need to let.
He'll be under the tutelage of YouTube star PK Subban.
Absolutely. All right. Speaking of which, New Jersey Devils, 7th overall. Take it away, Evan.
New Jersey Devils. So can I get a recap of who's been drafted so far? I think I know who I'm taking, but I also can't remember who everyone took.
In order: Lafreniere, Byfield, Stützle, Perfetti, Rossi, Drysdale.
Oh, so Lucas Raymond's still on the board?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are sprinting up to the stage to take Lucas Raymond. That is a dream scenario.
And I will be
Jersey.
Angry if this is how this actually goes on draft day, because Lucas Raymond is my 4th ranked prospect going 7th overall. But hey, it happens every year.
Yep.
Someone jumps, someone gets reached for, someone falls. It happens. Like,
I don't think Drysdale will be there at that pick. Like,
no.
Yeah, because actually, if you've got 7th here, and you literally, my 4th and 7th got swapped in this actual draft.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen. It's always going to happen. And again, I wouldn't bet on Drysdale falling out of the top 5. I could absolutely see Ottawa or Detroit taking a swing on him. So this draft is wide open. And if you read,
there's anyone who can mind fuck Pierre Dorian, it's Steve Yzerman. If there's anyone I have full confidence in to make Ottawa balk and take Jamie Drysdale at 3, it is Steve Yzerman.
Can't just go and do a balk. A balk is when you have you guys seen that whole list of like what a balk is in baseball, and no one actually knows?
No, nobody knows. I thought you were actually going to make a German hockey joke there, but that's fine.
Oh, I'm not nearly funny enough or awake enough. Okay. For the Buffalo State, or sorry, go ahead, Evan.
No, I was just making sure my brain understands that I'm taking Lucas Raymond.
Yeah. Lucas Raymond, 7th New Jersey, 8th overall for the Buffalo Sabres. Brad.
Oh, man, Buffalo. That tire fire of an organization right now. Now, this is to me where as crazy as this draft is going to be, this is where it really opens up for me, because Buffalo is the first team that I could see not necessarily doing it, but taking a long, hard look at Yaroslav Askarov. Because Carter Hutton ain't it, and I mean, they have Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, but you never know, right? He was in the ECHL this year, and you'd never want to risk arguably the most important position in the game of hockey. But that being said, this is also a team that struggles to keep pucks out of their net defensively and struggles to put them in the net offensively. They have Skinner, Eichel, Reinhardt up front. They have Dahlin, Ristolainen on the blue line, but not a whole hell of a lot of depth there. I would not be surprised if Buffalo, in the back of their mind, making the decision here to keep Jack Eichel happy, seeing how upset he's been publicly with the Sabres. And given their overall need everywhere, I think they are just straight up going best player available here. I think that will coincide with keeping Jack Eichel happy, and this is where they give him his trigger man. So the Buffalo Sabres are selecting from Djurgården in Sweden, Alexander Holtz.
That would work out so perfectly for them. Probably the best scorer in the draft, the best shooter in the draft, a guy who you really, really, really should not be surprised to see in the conversation as high as number 4 overall for Detroit. Holtz would just work so well for them. And that's someone who they would want over sooner rather than later, although I don't think he's a next year kind of guy. Yeah, that's another one where they'd be sprinting to the stage, and Buffalo fans would not be upset about that. Well, Brad, I'm glad you didn't do it, because with the 9th overall pick, the Chicago Blackhawks are going to take Yaroslav Askarov. I think locking up the goalie of the future is important for them. Corey Crawford can only do this for so long. It's not like the position can't be replaced pretty reasonably well with free agency, or trades, or just development within your own system, because as we know, goaltending is voodoo. But Chicago's had the privilege of a lot of strong draft picks. They have a strong young core coming up. They jumped up 1 million spots last year to take Kirby Dach, so they are not going to be afraid to walk away from the players that would be left on the board here, which, to be honest, like, starts to thin out a bit. Like, you have Lundell, you have Sanderson you look at, you have, like, Seth Jarvis, Jack Quinn, but for them, Yaroslav Askarov could, in 15 years, be the best player to come out of this draft. So they are going to jump at their future franchise goalie, and hopefully for them, future Conn Smythe winner. All right. Again for New Jersey.
Is this me?
That's Evan.
Well, I've been thinking about it, and as I look through New Jersey's depth chart, they have no one on defense. Literally no one. So they are going to take Jake Sanderson.
Sanderson's not dropping a 10 in real life, right?
No, I could see New Jersey taking a long, hard look at him with their first of 2 picks and not risk losing him.
Lucas Raymond was available at their first pick in our draft, though, so it's hard to pass that up.
I could see Anaheim taking a long, hard look at him with how they value defensive defensemen. I could see Buffalo with their needs everywhere taking a look. It's going to be pretty wide open. And even Chicago, because almost all their defensive prospects are like offensive guys. So they probably could use a defensive, like a Mo Sider in their system.
And that 10th overall pick was the Arizona's 2020 first round pick from the Taylor Hall trade. Minnesota, number 11, Brad.
Ooh, Minnesota, the team that is going to be probably the most upset that Askarov is off the board. And also a team that infinitely struggles to score goals. And as fate would have it, arguably the best goal scorer in the draft is sitting here for them. So the Minnesota Wild select from the Ottawa 67s, Jack Quinn.
Oh, Jack Quinn. Yeah, I mean, you can't ignore his output.
Not many draft-eligible players score over 50 goals in the OHL.
No, that's very true.
And one narrative that's been beat to death is, oh yeah, of course you're going to score 50 goals if you play with Marco Rossi. They played on different lines.
I think at this point for the Winnipeg Jets, there's going to be a lot of options available to them. And when you're drafting, what is it? What do we have here? 12th overall. Yeah, you would want to look at team need, but also if you have any top 10 talents who are slipping out of that range for one reason or another, you have to jump at them. So if I'm Winnipeg, I'm thrilled at the opportunity to take, from the Finnish League, Anton Lundell.
Mr. Production with absolutely no flash. I'm selling him short. Not that he's not skilled, but not your prototypical productive forward.
All right, for the New York Rangers, Evan.
I'm actually really struggling to figure out what their position of need is.
No, their system they're stacked.
I
I'm
know.
not going to say system, even their team. Like, if you just look at the players 24 years or younger on the Rangers, it's ridiculous.
So we know they're not taking a goalie because now there's no one available. Their defense are Jacob Trouba, Tony Delangelo, Adam Fox, Mark Stahl, and Brendan Smith. The right wingers are Pavel Buchnevich, Jesper Foss, and Capo Caco. Who's Philip Di Giuseppe?
He's an afterthought.
Okay.
If we're being honest.
Okay. You know what? They don't really have great center depth, it looks like. I'm struggling with this pick big time. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm dumb. They're taking Anton Lundell for sure.
He just got picked.
It'd be hard to do. There is the first time Evan did it.
Oh, no. You can tell
we get one every year
to make sure I make the right pick, and then I pick the guy who's already been taken. When did he get taken?
It was, in your defense, it was a little while ago. It was just the pick right before you, so it's difficult.
So I already had this figured out in my brain, and didn't work out. Man. They are going to take then. I think they might take a swing at Connor Zary.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. Not as teams aren't as hot to trot on him now as they were, I think, at the beginning of the season, but definitely someone I think worth looking at. Florida with the 14th overall pick, Brad.
Do they take a goalie? No, of course not. If we were drafting straight up on positional need, there is no reality I'm not taking a defenseman here for Florida, but I don't have a defenseman anywhere near the Panthers on my rankings right now. So if I'm the War Room, I'm sitting, okay, well, I guess we're just taking the best forward that we can take here and then figure out the rest later. So the Florida Panthers select from the Portland Winterhawks, Seth Jarvis.
Damn it. Yeah.
Don't you hate when the player you want to take is taken right before you and you don't realize?
And 15th overall, the Columbus Blue Jackets also select Seth Jarvis. No, Seth Jarvis, I think, would be a great value pick at 14. Not like out of this world drop. We've seen way worse. And considering the talent ahead of him, I wouldn't be surprised. But also, if he goes 10th, you can't be shocked with Seth Jarvis. So, no, that's a really solid pick. This is one that I always get a lot of flack for. I know people aren't in love with this pick because of his history with injury, but I really just get the impression that a team is going to buy into Hendrix Lapierre's justification of his injuries, which is that it's more of a neck thing than a concussion thing. They're going to reference Crosby a lot and say, well, he's been playing just fine he's been playing just fine in terms of consistency since his concussion issues that turned out to be somewhat neck issues. So I'm going to predict because of nothing other than my own brain that Columbus is going to take a swing on Hendrix Lapierre at 15th overall.
Ooh. I'm curious to see who Evan takes here because I have two guys that I can't make up my mind on for my next pick. So Evan, please take one of them and make my decision.
They're looking for a centerman, so they're going to take Anton Lundell.
16th overall, Calgary.
Man, I don't know what to do. I think they want a centerman, but I'm just not sure. My pick was going to be Askarov for them.
He doesn't fall that far though.
I don't think he does, especially with Minnesota also looking for a goaltender. I think they are going to take Dylan Holloway, and that's who I'm going to pick because I think they'll be able to move him around the roster and plug him in wherever, depending where their positional need is.
Okay, and next up we have New Jersey again, 17th overall, Brad.
Did I take one of your two?
No. So now I got to make up my mind here, which I don't want to do. All right. New general manager in New Jersey, which we're not even fully sure who it is yet, but the key point being it's not Lou Lamoriello. New Jersey sucks everywhere, but they've also already taken a forward and a defenseman in this draft, so positional need doesn't really apply here, so it's just best player available. Given that it's new management, I do not think the Russian factor will play in New Jersey anymore. I think the scars of Ilya Kovalchuk have been healed, so the New Jersey Devils are going to select Rodion Amirov.
That was one of my two. Thank you for taking that, Brad. That makes my next pick a lot easier.
You are welcome.
So that is Amirov to the Devils. Number 18, Nashville are going to be pumped to, and the Devils own pick 17. That was Vancouver's pick that they got in the Blake Coleman trade. Pick 18, the Nashville Predators are going to be pumped to see Dawson Mercer available there. So they are going to take Dawson Mercer from the QMJHL. Carolina, number 19, Evan.
Wow, I can't count. Carolina A.
Is that why you golf so well?
Because I can't count.
Your scores actually aren't that great, but that's what you record them as?
Unfortunately, I can count up to... I think I've had an 8 this year.
I have 8. I usually have 8 8s in the front 9.
Yeah, that's when I would just walk off the course.
All right, let's not. There's no need for that.
Okay. You guys are taking all the people I want and leaving the players that should be drafted.
Do you want me to do a read through of what's happened since pick 10?
Yes, please.
Okay, so since pick 10, the New Jersey Devils have taken Jake Sanderson. Minnesota's taken Jack Quinn. Winnipeg's taken Anton Lundell. The Rangers have taken Connor Zary. Florida's taken Seth Jarvis. Columbus selects Hendrix Lapierre. Calgary takes Dylan Holloway. New Jersey takes Rodion Amirov. And then Nashville took Dawson Mercer.
All right. I got my pick. I think Carolina's a little weak on the left side, so they're taking JJ Peterka.
Oh, damn it. I like that pick. It's an annoying one, but I like it. 19th overall, hopeful Red Wings 32nd overall pick. JJ Peterka goes to Carolina. Pick 20, Edmonton. Oh, sorry. Pick 19 was the Toronto first round pick that Carolina got from them for the Marleau trade. So pick 20, Edmonton. Take it away, Brad.
So remember how I said I was split on two guys? Well, I'm getting them both. So thank you, guys. Now, the thing is with Edmonton that the running joke has been forever that they need defense. Their defense is terrible. They need defense. But you actually look at the young defensemen on the Oilers now, Clefbaum, Nurse, Evan Bouchard, Philip Broberg, Ethan Bear, Caleb Jones, like that's turning into a position of strength for them pretty quickly. And they're not hurting on depth at forward either. So Edmonton, one of those teams that is in a position to true best player available. And we talk about starting the German mafia in Detroit. You know who we don't have? We don't have Leon Draisaitl. So the true German mafia might reside in Edmonton because they are absolutely thrilled to select Lukas Reichel.
Peterka and Reichel going in the late teens to early 20s is the reality that we don't want to face, but is likely to happen, I think. So 2 great picks from you guys. Ottawa with their 3rd pick of the first round, and the pick 21 comes from the Islanders from the J.G. Pajot trade. So that pick was top 3 protected, so they are they'll be happy if the Islanders don't win the draft lottery and they get a 3rd first round pick. To this point, they've taken Stützle and Rossi, so 2 potential centermen. They will want to give a little bit of talent to their back end, and so they're going to take left-handed defenseman Caden Gooley out of the dub. Yeah, that's how it goes, man. Welcome to the show.
Now I got to think on my feet again, and I'm going to pick Anton Lundell.
He was I had 2 left-handed defensemen ahead of Caden Gooley at this point, but he was in my next 4 on the rankings. So this is getting to be the defensive logjam now for me.
Yeah. Okay, so I believe Dallas is up next for Evan.
You guys, I like to get wined and dined first.
This is Brad and I getting you back for every time it's been like 15 minutes after showtime and you just came in with your golf polo on.
Yes, now I show up with it on ahead of time because I have a tea time right after this. Okay, I'm picking for Dallas. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, Dallas. I actually really like their center depth. Man, I'm struggling. You took my pick. I was like, this is so good.
Give me $5, I'll give it to you.
I don't have $5 to spare. Man, you have screwed me so hard with that pick.
What does Dallas need?
Evan, there's literally hundreds of other players you can choose from here, man.
But he likes his play.
I liked our player. That's who we wanted. That's who I wanted in Dallas. Now I don't know who to take. They might just go BPA at this point. And looking through my list that is now gutted, thanks to you two taking people right ahead of me, they're going to take William Wallinder.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He was in that
way down my list there. Not for me, he wasn't.
No, he was in that range. I think that's a fair pick. By the way, for both of you, I did send the list far later than I should have, but if you check Messenger, I put it in our group chat so you can know ahead of time who you're picking for. And that speaks to all of our listeners. That's how much of an advantage I gave myself over these guys. So score them fairly. Okay, and that is Brad up next, 23rd overall for the Rangers, I believe.
Yes. So, refresh my memory, because in the Facebook chat, you only updated to pick 12. Who did the Rangers select at 13 again?
The Rangers at 13 selected Connor Zary, and this is the 23rd overall pick that they own from Carolina from the Brady Shea trade.
Okay. Well, defensemen were next up on my board. They already selected a forward, which allows me to go true best player available on my board. So the New York Rangers are very happy to shore up the left side of their defense with Swedish defenseman Emil Andre.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
He's 5'9" or 10, plays like he's 6'2", and extremely gifted offensively. Absolutely the type of guy I would have to love, especially in the 20s in the draft.
I like Andre a lot. I thought maybe I was a little bit too hot to trot on him, which is why I didn't take him for Ottawa with Caden Gooley, but no, I think he'll be a good pick for the Rangers. Minnesota pick 24 are going to be excited to see from the QMJHL Maverick Bork still on the board for them. Who did they take earlier in this draft? Who did we have them
Jack
taking?
Quinn.
Ooh, it's not a bad. If walking away from the first round with no top 10 picks and getting Jack Quinn and Maverick Bork is a pretty good getaway in my mind. So 24th overall, that's who they're going to take. 25th for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Seth Jarvis is gone, right?
Yep.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah, he went pick 14. Yeah, 14.
Yeah, well, that may as well have been 4 years ago in my brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Philly, position of need, BPA. Actually, you know what? I kind of like, is Braden Schneider still on the board?
He is.
Hey, you're taking him.
Oh,
right-handed defenseman from the Dub.
Yep.
Evan is helping my board so much because he's like going 5, 10, 15 picks down from where I've got most of my guys ranked.
Pick 26 belongs to the San Jose Sharks, which they got when they traded Barclay Goodrow to the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is just proof that the NHL does not make sense. So Barclay Goodrow was worth a first round pick. Take it away, Brad.
Well, if all you're getting rid of is Barclay Goodrow, you can afford to take a bit of risk with this pick. And since I've got, for what it's worth, I've got my rankings in a spreadsheet, and then I'm changing the color of everybody's name when they're picked, so I can kind of see. And I've got this unmarked white hole just sitting 7 picks above the rest. So the San Jose Sharks are going to take a swing on extremely gifted offensive defenseman from St. John, Jeremy Poirier.
Oh, nice pick. That's another guy who I think is not going to fall to 26. I think we're being a little bit generous with that. Okay, the Colorado Avalanche are picking next, I believe it is. Yes, pick 27, Colorado. This is another guy who I think we're sleeping on a little bit in terms of how far down the board he's actually going to fall. Has been kind of consensus ranked a little bit higher than this, maybe late teens, early 20s. I can't remember his team, Sarnia. Anyways, extremely gifted shooter, talented player with the puck, Jacob Perreault out of Sarnia from the OHL. That would be a steal for Colorado at 27 in my mind, and probably someone who you shouldn't be surprised to go as high as the mid-teens. Vegas, pick 28.
I want to take Luke Tuck so badly just to confuse their fan base. Can I get a roundup of the top 20 again, please? Or sorry, everyone up to now in the 20 from 20.
Yeah, pick 20. Edmonton took Reichel. Ottawa took Gooley. 22, Wallander for Dallas. The Rangers took Emile Andre. Minnesota took Maverick Bourque, 24th. Philadelphia took Braden Schneider, 25th. Jeremy Poirier, 26th to San Jose, and 27th Jacob Perreault to Colorado.
I don't even know why I keep a list, because literally everyone I thought I'd pick is now gone within the past 5 picks. Now I just have to make it up and look like a dumbass.
Welcome to the Wing Wheel Podcast.
Welcome to the Wing Wheel Podcast. Las Vegas takes Ridley Greig.
Damn it. Yeah, that's a good pick. 29th for Washington.
All right. Washington is that team that is not afraid of perceived character issues. They like skill. They draft skill. They've drafted defensemen lately, so they can absolutely afford to take a risk on a high skill forward with a lot of question marks. And I am torn between two that fit on that, but I'm going to go with the bigger ceiling here. And the Washington Capitals will select Noel Gunler.
Oh, good pick. How did we leave him on the board that long?
Because I have a lot of concerns about those question marks.
30th overall. I think this is another guy who won't fall down this far. But St. Louis is going to look to Sweden. They're going to look to Malmo, and they're going to take Helga Grans at pick 30.
Why do I do this? Why do I do this?
Pick 31 for Anaheim, who owns that pick from the Andre Castro trade from Boston.
Repetition is key to my comedic success, so they are going to take Anton Lundell.
Can I interest you in an Anton Lundell
Yes.
in these trying times?
You motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
This is your last one. Make it count.
You've totally screwed up everything. And I can't even pronounce this one guy's name, so I'm not going to try.
No, you got to try it. Now you have to pick him. You have to pick him.
Oh, okay. Ty Smilanic.
There you go. Nailed it.
There you go.
I'm a
Not
pro.
bad. And that was to Anaheim at pick 31. We are going to, that's the first round, but we got to do pick 32 as well. And that happens to fall on Brad. So Brad, with the way the first round is shaken out, who does Detroit take with the first pick of the second round?
So now that strategy doesn't play a part, and I can kind of talk you guys through who I'm thinking, because right now, honestly, with who's left on the board for me, this is definitely going to be another forward in my mind for the Red Wings. I'd be lying if I said I was sitting. I thought I'd be sitting here with Detroit's pick and having to choose between Jan Mysak, Zion Nybeck, and Tyson Forster.
Yeah.
Honestly, given that, I am conflicted. I could absolutely make a case for all three of these guys here, but given that the Red Wings already selected Cole Perfetti, given that the left side of the Red Wings power play is a weakness, given their lack of elite shooters, I'll even say above average shooters beyond Mantha and Zadina, I think here the Detroit Red Wings are proud to select from the Barrie Colts, Tyson Forster.
Why do we do this? That's exactly who I was going to pick.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be what's available to Detroit, or maybe it is. Who knows? There was a lot of talent available at the beginning of the second round next year. If they walk away with Forster, I would be thrilled. Nybeck is another guy that I would have a hard time walking away from, but that's not a bad roundup. So that's our first round +1 mock draft. So the Red Wings notably walk away here, as predicted by Evan and Brad respectively. Cole Perfetti at pick 4 and Tyson Forster at pick 32, which is not a bad haul. We will put this up for you guys to see as well, and you let us know how we did.
You want to know, just a quick thing, because I have the rankings up. You want to know how wide open this draft is? Here are a bunch of very relevant names that absolutely could go in the first round that we did not take in the first round. So still on the board: Ryan O'Rourke, Zion Nybeck, Jan Mysak, Lucas Cormier, Brendan Brisson, Carter Savoy, Jake Neighbors, Marat Kuznetsov, all still available. That's how deep this draft is.
Yeah, this draft's wild.
It's going to be chaos is going to be the name of this draft.
Yeah. It doesn't even matter. We don't know what the draft order is when we did this mock draft, because
you almost can't go wrong. Like, there isn't really anybody in the top 20 that I'm really like, I don't know if that's a good pick in the top 20.
I know. Whenever a team reaches, it's for a guy who you're like, well, he's in the second round, but he could potentially be in the first. And you're like, well, good for you for taking the risk. But then you're pushing Ryan O'Rourke out of the first round, and all this whole time I'm saying, well, there's no way Ryan O'Rourke's going to make it to Detroit, and I don't even mention him as a possible pick.
I feel like this is the year when you read all these mock drafts, and you're like, how do you leave so-and-so out? How do you leave so-and-so? It's like, well, it doesn't matter, because you could put in 35 different guys into the first round, no problem.
You'll probably get him with your next pick.
No, not me, but...
Yeah. Not you. You did walk away with Anton Lundell. I'll give you that.
That is true.
Okay, so that was our mock draft. We are going to be doing more of these, of course. We have our second of our collab with Wings for Breakfast with Prashant and Max over at the Athletic Detroit. That's coming up later this month. And then we're just going to keep doing these until, I don't know, the end of time probably, because they're fun.
Because we have nothing else to do Detroit-wise until the draft, which is probably... late 2020.
Well, in happier news, let's talk about some hub cities, some CBA stuff before overtime.
Thrilling, exciting. So happy we did this after the mock draft.
Hub cities. I am so tired of non-news. I'm usually so forgiving when people are reporting on like an evolving process, but this just seems like the NHL slowly approaches common sense. This morning was finally the tweet that said from Bob McKenzie, it looks like the NHL is just going to go with Edmonton and Toronto to keep it all in Canada.
Well, you could go to Banff if it's in Edmonton, right?
There you go.
That's what the video showed?
Yeah, just look at these beautiful mountains and the players.
How far is Banff from Edmonton? It's got to be stupidly far.
Yeah, it's not. The players aren't going there.
It's 4 hours.
No, it's just not part of it. Even then, nothing's been announced. Everything's just like kind of confirmed. Like, we're so used to now seeing, expect confirmation later today, and then 3 weeks later, we're back to square one. Vegas has been ruled out due to a spike of cases. Vancouver was ruled out for, conflict as to what would happen if positive tests came up. So nothing's confirmed at the time of recording, but it looks like it's going to be Edmonton and Toronto just to keep it simple for the NHL. I'm surprised that's not what they went with to start. I'll be surprised if they switch away from that again. I'll just be happy to stop hearing the phrase hub city. It was a cool thing to start, and now I'm just exhausted by it. Like, I'm exhausted by the concept before it even happens. But still.
Did you say that Las Vegas is most likely out now?
Yeah, it looks like they've been ruled out.
Yes, common sense might prevail for once in the NHL.
Yeah.
Well, the U.S. and their Rona numbers, I mean, it had to be 2 Canadian cities at this point. It just had to be.
It just doesn't make sense. I feel like there's something to do with the Canadian currency in some aspect with this in terms of getting U.S. dollar revenue. But yeah, like, you just look at some of the cities that they were selecting and their lack of corona control. It just doesn't make sense. Like, Las Vegas is a hotbed. Florida is a hotbed. New York's a hotbed. It's just put it in Canada. Things are a lot more under control. Seems like Vancouver doesn't want to play ball with the NHL, which I totally understand. The citizens come first before multi-billion-dollar businesses. But if you want to put it where no one wants to live and no one does live, Edmonton's your number one choice. It's probably snowing there right now.
That's how we know the NHL players are gonna maintain the bubble. They have no reason to leave it.
Yeah. Like, go outside in Edmonton. No thanks. What am I gonna do?
Look outside to the McDonald's dumpster behind your hotel.
Hey, that's a national landmark. Careful. And in other news, it seems like somehow among all of this, CBA discussions are happening.
Yeah, well, they've had not a lot to do. Might as well all hop on Zoom and figure everything out. So Friedman dropping a bunch of news, literally as we were doing the mock draft. So one of the most relevant thing to the Red Wings is, so I'll just read what he tweeted verbatim so we can talk about it. Some stuff to look forward to in modified CBA. Flat salary cap, unless change, numbers were $81.5 million next 2 years.
What's the current salary cap?
81.5. 82.5 in 2022, 2023. So by 2023, the salary cap will only go up $1 million.
Steve Yzerman is rubbing his hands together.
Oh, they should be taking on every bad contract in the NHL. Forget if the Red Wings sign one free agent this year, I'll be pissed because they're wasting valuable free agents.
Bring on your first round picks. We will take them. Thank you.
100%. If the Red Wings don't end up with multiple first or second round picks out of this, it was a huge missed opportunity. It sucks for the NHL as a whole, but Detroit is actually one of the very, very few teams that's going to benefit from this greatly if done properly. There's going to be a cap on escrow, but if I ever hear the word escrow again, I'm going to shoot myself, so I don't care. Return to the Olympics.
That's the big one.
2022, 2026. It sounds like as long as there's a vaccine in place by then, we will get to see NHL players at the Olympics, which is amazing because the Olympic hockey, not that it's not worth watching. I still watched it. It's not the same. It's not even close to the same.
I'm sorry. They robbed us of the best version of Crosby and McDavid together that we would have ever been able to watch. The least we can do is have it the second best version. Crosby will be a little bit older, but still, it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. So we will see.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed that they worked that in so smoothly. I was expecting the NHL to be kind of like the owners to be kind of like dicks about it and hold that as massive leverage. But I guess considering these trying times, TM, that they weren't going to just kind of whack them over the head with that.
Another thing that Friedman was just posting. So NHL also fought for changes to contract structure, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but this will be. This is actually going to be taking a lot of ammo out of the big market teams' pockets. So like we're looking at you, Toronto. Limits on signing bonuses.
Makes sense.
And less salary fluctuation on a year-to-year basis.
Oh, even less?
Yeah. So basically they're saying, trying to get this as close to what your salary cap hit is what your salary cap hit is, right? So it's not like the guys making 11 million in their first year and 5 million in their last year on their $8 million cap hit. Because quite honestly, it is a huge disadvantage to the Floridas, Arizonas, Ottawas of the world. So they're trying to create a more balanced market. Because what is it? The Toronto Maple Leafs owe John Tavares like $11 million today because of a signing bonus. They just literally have to cut him an $11 million check right now.
Yeah.
Most teams in the NHL, not even the small market, most teams in the NHL don't have the option to put that in contracts for players. So it takes a lot of teams out of the running for these big market or these big time free agents. So the NHL clearly wants to level the playing field, and they're taking steps to do that. Now, exactly what those restrictions are, no clue. It's this is just all not speculation, but like reporting news from the big Twitter talking heads without details. So there will be a lot of fine tuning of what we're saying right now. But it's funny too, because Friedman even put after all the news, which he doesn't always put opinions, but he's like, this will mean next couple of seasons are going to be extremely tight for clubs without cap flexibility. So bring us your old, bring us your broken, bring us your overpaid, and also bring us your first round picks.
Yeah, that one's going to be, like we kind of have forgotten about that kind of leverage that Steve Yzerman has with the Red Wings and their, their cap space because of the draft lottery, because of the draft. But if you guys want to know Steve Yzerman's biggest weapon that he can like work with as a GM, like his skill as a GM, pay close attention to what happens over the next 2 years with this. You are going to see him try to leverage that cap space. And he's talked about it before. Like, what does he get most passionate about? What does he think is going to make the biggest impact? Attaining good assets in exchange for taking on some ugly cap space from other teams who need to dump theirs, or to dump their cap hits. So there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and within the next few episodes as well, we're going to be diving into some opportunities for Detroit. So that's huge news. I mean, and as a hockey fan, of course, nothing's been ratified yet, but if the silver lining to all of this crap that's been going on is that we don't have to go through another lockout and they just get the CBA done because they know they have to, great, I'll take it. A little bit surprised. I didn't think that they had it in them, but I'll take it. And like, yes, signing bonuses, I agree. They need to go. Like, they need to be kind of tempered a lot. Olympics,
they're not going to be gone. They're just
no.
reduced.
No, Toronto would quit the NHL if that was the case. Okay. Anything else before we jump into overtime here?
We covered everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we'll get into some of this stuff in a bit more detail when all the next episode and all the details are out. But hey, at least, we recorded an episode at 8:30 in the morning, and all the news broke before or during. What a time to be alive!
It's truly historic.
Okay, so we are going to jump into overtime. And start with Patreon, where we're going to jump into Nick Hill's question here. He says, sorry if you've already talked about this, but I've seen Drysdale go as high as 2 on some boards. Is it unreasonable to think that he goes in the top 3 and we end up with Stützle, or that he might be a good pick at 4?
He's a good pick at 4. The odds of him going in the top 3 aren't great. Because Ottawa's okay. The only reason the Red Wings should take Jamie Drysdale at 4 is if they truly believe he is the best player available at 4. Otherwise, Detroit has a bigger need at forward. Ottawa, for all we make fun of them, they're not dumb. They'll know that. They'll look at the depth chart of the Red Wings, and because we are the grocery stick of the 2 Ottawa picks, so obviously they're going to really do the research on Detroit as well. So if Ottawa does not have Stützle and or Byfield ranked that closely to Raymond, Holtz, Perfetti, Rossi, yeah, no, they're not even going to consider taking Drysdale unless they do, and then they will. That is the only reality in which that happens.
Yeah, not outside the realm of possibility, but
slim.
Yeah. Matt Whip says, hey, boys, still haven't gotten over how stupid the lottery is. Anyways, do you think Gravo will come over to Saginaw? Do you think he'll develop better here or Sweden, or would the organization tell him to come over to keep a closer eye on him? How will he get over here if he wants to come over here? Maybe he'll be launched by a Trebucket. Thanks.
So yes, and ugh.
Jake Nagy says, hearing all the buzz regarding Perfetti being a lock at number 4 and trying to make sense of it all. I'm not sure it matters that Ozzy and Devillano are part-time owners of Saginaw, but there are some things about him that make me think Stevie might really like him. Saginaw's GM describes Perfetti as an unbelievable human first and foremost. He's very well spoken, smart in the classroom, mid to high 90s student, manages his time, and yet he can be one of the guys in the room. When he goes for dinner, the guys want to follow, but he doesn't act like he's better than anyone else ever. Seems like similar things were said about Sider. Thoughts on how he might fit the mold for what we're building?
Well, he's a competitor. He's all the things Ryan just said. It's absolutely the intangibles you want to hear from any prospect that you're picking high. I sent a tweet out the other day that had a lot of people angry where I said, hey, I know Chris Osgood and Jim Devillano own part of Saginaw, but that is not a reason to pick Cole Perfetti. I've heard a ton of good arguments to pick Cole Perfetti. That is not one of them, and that will never be one of them. But yeah, you'll get more information, honest information out of Ozzy and Devillano about Perfetti. Although there will be some bias attached to it because guys will always petition for their guy, right? And if you read the stories, though, there's not a lot of red flags with the top 6, 7, 8 prospects. Like, there's reports that have been coming out that Marco Rossi's work ethic is just otherworldly, like Sidney Crosby-esque levels of crazy. So that will appeal to the Red Wings as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of good reasons to pick Perfetti at 4. And if all those intangibles are also a plus, well, if you believe his on-ice skill is 4th overall worthy, then yeah, that's the type of information that just cements that decision in your mind.
Okay. Ashley Van Conant says, hey guys, glad to be a Patreon subscriber again. I preemptively canceled a lot at the start of COVID, but I enjoy the podcast so much that it didn't sit well with me not contributing. You guys put out such good Red Wings content, and I'm so glad to help support that. Thanks for keeping such a dismal season interesting. Ashley, thank you so much. Thank you everyone who's stuck with us or has left and come back. I mean, we totally understand, but it means the world that you guys continue to support us. So, to us, you never left, Ashley. So welcome. Lauren T says, well, still feeling no thoughts head empty regarding the draft lottery, so I'll diverge a bit to the more happier Wings memory. Since I'm a teacher, I've been not working and have been making my way through the Russian 5 book by Keith Gave. Highly recommend. Super easy read. I just finished the chapter retelling the glorious fight night at the Joe. Personally, I was just a month shy of my first birthday when it happened, but where were you guys on fight night? Or what do you remember about the first time you saw the footage?
Oh, man. So I would have been almost 10 years old when that happened. Unfortunately, NHL Center Ice and the internet really weren't a thing back then, so I very, very rarely got to watch Red Wings games live. It was literally only when they were in the playoffs or playing a Canadian team. So my first experience of Fight Night at the Joe was actually watching Sports Center highlights the next morning, and I knew something was weird. Even my 9-year-old brain knew something was weird when Canadian Sports Center was leading with a hockey game of 2 American teams. Like, oh, what happened? And then they saw the highlights, and like at 8 a.m, 9-year-old Brad's brain could not process the craziness he was watching. I still remember that, just going, what the hell happened? And that was the clipped down version of it.
Yeah, I was still very young. That must have been around the time that I started watching hockey. It was 97, like February, March of like 97, yeah?
Yep.
Which means I was still shy of 4 years old, and I started watching hockey. I would not be surprised if it was that season or just the season before. So my head has a memory of it in there, like remembering like my family all talking about it, but that's probably like a contrived one just because I've talked about the fight night so much. The reality is I was definitely watching it as a kid. I watched every Red Wings game with my dad until I moved out of my house. But was I actually there? Probably not. I don't really remember it. I can tell you every detail of it, but that's probably just from watching it a million times.
Yeah, definitely no recollection of that. Far too young and didn't really understand it at that point.
Matt Cheney says, okay, I think we've all had a chance to calm down. What happened, and now we can look forward to drafting a great player at 4. I'm also very excited about the later rounds as Eisman seems to be able to identify talent there, obviously with some luck. You often talk about drafting later round players based off of one top level skill they have. So what kind of top level skill do you hope Detroit picks up in the later rounds? Thanks, boys. Shooting.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of that. Skating, NHL's getting faster. Go for it. Obviously, pick the smart players first and foremost. Get the guys who know what to do on the ice. But yeah, Detroit's not a highly skilled team, though, honestly. Picking a few more guys like they did with Master Simone last year with like good puck skills, good shot is a big need in the organization right now.
Master Simone was the exact pick that I wanted if they weren't going to get like a... who did the Rangers take in the second round that annoyed me that they got him? Or was it the Rangers? The Russian guy who dropped to the second round.
Kaliev.
Yeah. He went to the Rangers, right?
He's went to the Kings, and he's American.
Kings.
So.
Oh, yeah.
This is the whole Michael Rasmussen thing.
Yeah, it is. No, but Kaliev was like, if you're not going to get like a high-end shooting talent like Kaliev, who really shouldn't have been in the second round, Master Simone was like the pick there. That was a pick that was the first pick that draft where we all went, okay, cool.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah. Who did I... anyways. Benji says, what's up, cheese bags? Are we done with this coronavirus yet? Then y'all can finally get cracking on a Vegas meetup. Well, Ryan and Evan might be able to go. Bring the clubs. Peace.
Oh, I would love to do a Vegas trip. I don't know if I'd come back the same person, though.
Vegas is my favorite city on planet Earth. I would... One day... I don't know if it'll be next year or like 5 years from now, but we're definitely doing a roadie to a Red Wings game in Vegas.
I will not drive there. We can fly there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. It's whatever you want, Ryan.
Garrett TV says, Hockey Amigos. I'm all in on Rossi at 4th overall. Lassi for Rossi. Raunchy for Rossi. We blow for Marco. Damn it. And then he says, say that last one without chuckling and I'll up my Patreon contribution.
Ball sack for my sack.
Well. We should probably stop the episode. No, I'm kidding. Kid's a stud, going to be a true center, and is almost ready to go. Maybe half season in the A to see how he transitions to pro. Anyways, I remain far more disgusted by potentially the 7th best team getting 1st overall than us picking 4th. Since everyone loves a good conspiracy theory, which play-in team picking 1st overall do you think will generate the most conspiracy theories? I think Toronto or Chicago, based on our fan base, would be the most hated, but I think Montreal would garner the most conspiracy theories. Team Chaos, Crisco for the win. Evan, sorry, you're most likely so tired today. 6 on the ice, boys. Let's go Red Wings.
It's absolutely Montreal. If the French Canadian superstar ends up in French Canada, like every tinfoil hat theory will be all over it. But the ironic thing is, according to most whatever probabilities you want to look at, Montreal is the most likely now because they are the worst team of the play-in one, so they're the most likely to be eliminated and be in the Lafreniere sweepstakes. So once they get there, it's even odds, but they're the most likely to get there.
Yeah. The other ones would be annoying, like Toronto got them. It's like, way to go, NHL. You just ruined parity by stacking Toronto for the next 10 years, but Montreal would be the storyline one. Nicholas C. DiMercurio says, what's up, guys? Just want to say, pointing out people's stupidity and arguing on Twitter has become my second job. I thank the NHL for that, and I'm frothing for some sports to soften this draft debacle. Thanks. Hashtag Pucks in Deep. Oh, Nicholas. Yeah, we're right there with you. Drunky the Dwarf says, we will rage if the special guest isn't Rowan. Give us what we want. I found out where High Me found out where Drunky the Dwarf is. It's from The Simpsons. My bad. And I had a dream somehow Tim Stützle falls to us at 4, so I'm hyped. As we are not a cult, wink, our dear leader Rowan needs to be the guest. Any guest is not as good as our dear leader of this not a cult, wink. I found a new thing to rage about. Hashtag Kim Jong Rowan. Hashtag still not a cult. Also, I remember how excited I am for July 1st every year because of free agency, but now it's canceled because of Corona. This is a sad time of year. When will free agents be able to sign with a new team? Did they decide on a date for free agency or no?
No, because we don't know when the season ends.
That's true.
It'll be after the draft. That's all we know.
Joseph D'Elia says, "Sup guys, like everyone, I've been watching a lot of prospect videos. If Steve wants to compete in skill, oh boy, it's hard to not like Raymond and Rossi. Just don't understand why Raymond is so low on lists. Ice time? Okay, if he was in the CHL, I honestly think he's with Stützle. I don't think Stützle and Byfield have the same ceiling, and I think Byfield is in a tier of his own. Anyways, thanks for being so consistent with the podcast. Honestly, look forward to hearing this mock. Thanks, guys." I agree with everything he said.
I mean, I'm a Lucas Raymond truther, so yeah, I'm with you.
Jake Kiefer says, in terms of who could be the next Red Wings coach, what about Paul McLean? Is he retired? No, he's an assistant with Columbus, right?
And also, I don't want any part of the Babcock regime anywhere near this team ever again.
While I'm not sure how much of a difference he would make in the near term at the Wings, given we don't have much to root on for the ice, it would be good to see that magnificent mustache in HD on my TVs. Thoughts? I've always liked Paul McLean, mostly because of his mustache. Joseph Fournier says, "Hey there, fellas. Choo choo. All aboard the Marco Rossi train. Choo choo. Marco Rossi is the bossy. Let's get saucy for Marco Rossi. Keep your fingers crossy for Marco Rossi. Let's embarco for our friend Marco. Marco Rossi, Marco Rossi, Marco Rossi." All right, fellas, let's try to remember to keep our allegiances close to the vest, okay? Be professional. Come on. Stay fresh, cheese bags.
So what I'm learning is we're very quickly devolving into a faction of Raymonds, Rossi's, Drysdales, and Perfetti's. So when the Red Wings make their pick, at least 75% of us are going to be very angry. And that's assuming they don't go way off the board.
Haroon Khan says, "Hey boys, what realistic free agent signings and changes do you see Yzerman making this summer? There's no way you can come back with Val as your second line center. Yeah, watch him.
Yeah, you can, and he will."
So do you see us signing a Granlund? Also, is there a chance Svechnikov lives up to his draft day hype, or is he just another Perlini type player who's not going to reach his potential? Thanks, and let's go Red Wings.
I mean, he'll have a good third line career if the knee heals up at this point. I think with Svechnikov, with how much his development's been stunted due to injuries and the injury itself, that it's really optimistic to think he will live up. He's good, and he's still got a chance to be a very useful player on the Red Wings, but it will not be in the top 6. Also, what was that? With free agents, man, honestly, I don't want the Red Wings to touch a single free agent this year. I know what that means for what next season will look like, but as we were just talking about weaponizing the cap space, you can't eat up any of that cap space if you want to weaponize it.
Yeah, the artificial cap on the cap, so to speak, has changed the game. So Yzerman before would have been saying, well, we're going to weaponize this cap space if we can, but only so many teams are cap strapped. And now Yzerman's going to say, I'm not going to commit a single aspect of this cap to a free agent until I know every single possibility in terms of getting a return by taking on a bad cap is exhausted. So he wants those first round picks. He wants those extra prospects. He wants those Robbie Fabbris from those teams. And that's what he'll do first. And so I will say he won't try to sign someone like Granlund, who will probably get a little bit more on the free market. In terms of Svechnikov, honestly, I don't think he's done for, but I don't think he's going to live up to draft day hype. And that's just my opinion. He still very well could, but with the kind of injury he's had and with how, choppy his development has been, some of it through no fault of his own, trying to develop in this Red Wing system sucks. So a lot of it's just bad timing. If he turns into an effective third liner who can play on the power play or whatever, I would consider that a success for him at this point. Birthday boy Trev says, "Hey guys, I've been listening to you guys for years, but I haven't had the money to support with that sweet cash. But my girlfriend Presley reached out to you guys and signed me up as a birthday gift. I will now take this time to brag that Darren frickin' McCarty, Ken Daniels, and the meatheads at the podcast we all love wished me a happy 21st. Well, happy 21st birthday, Trevor. Welcome to the Dub Dub family, and thank you so much for you and Presley for supporting the show. Definitely the best birthday gift I've ever had. Anyways, one thing I've been wondering recently is if Stevie takes someone like Perfetti or Drysdale and they don't pan out while Raymond and Rossi are still on the board, does this shake any faith in the Yzer plan? If not, what will it take? Love you guys a bunch, and thanks for getting us through this hashtag dumpster fire of a season. Let's go Red Wings.
Well, how could it not shake the Yzer plan? The biggest part of the Yzer plan is getting picks and drafting. So if you are screwing that part up, yeah, everything else you do doesn't really matter at that point.
Yeah, and Steve Yzerman talks a lot about his draft philosophy. He trusts his team. He says, like, he's very clear. He's like, I don't have the time to know about all these players. So, they'll talk about a guy and I have to take their word for it, and that's why I hire them. But he does take an active role in that first pick. So you can assign this pick to Steve Yzerman by all rights. So, yeah, like if this turns out to be a catastrophic failure and everyone around him had a big success, then you would have to hold that against him the same way. Whereas if he picks Cole Perfetti when people are saying he shouldn't, and Cole Perfetti ends up being the, number one center or the best player in the Red Wings, then that's also attributed to him. So yeah, a lot is riding on Yzerman. It's not make or break. The rebuild's going to take a long time. And so there's a lot of opportunities for this, but this is definitely probably the biggest impact move that Yzerman will have the opportunity to make coming up with this draft. Dylan Krill says, thoughts on William Wallander and Yoni Yurmo. I'm sure you guys have talked about Grayville already, but if not, what do you think he projects to be for the Wings? Thanks, guys.
Wallander, I've been coming down on a little bit the more I've watched him. I don't see the high end upside that was originally projected for him. I'm sure he'll pan into like a fine bottom half of the lineup guy, but And Yoni Yurmo, I don't have a ton of insight on yet. Not a guy I've done a deep dive on, so I will defer.
Sid Fullis says, is this where I say hello? Hello. I'm here now. Started paying to play. Love the show. Well, welcome, Sid. Some dum-dum keeps talking on every other hockey podcast about how Byfield is 6'4", but his short stick is limiting to playing like a 6'2" player. What are your thoughts on this and your own preferences on stick? Longer, shorter, low flex, high flex? I've always been like a average, if not shorter stick. I have a tendency to hunch over, but I liked... Yeah, well.
How many people can wield a long stick, Ryan?
Yeah, I walked into that one. I kept it at about my chin when I'm on skates, which is, like between my chin and my mouth. I liked a little bit more control as I was stick handling. So it does make it harder to skate with your head up. So as a kid, I definitely had to learn that to make sure I didn't get rocked. In terms of Byfield, though, I mean, he's 6'4". Like, are you really going to notice a difference if he's playing with a shorter stick? Like, you're that tall, you do want good control over the puck, and he is a highly skilled guy with the puck, so that probably feeds into it. It doesn't mean he's not still huge and strong on his skates, so I wouldn't really factor that into any kind of decision making, how long his stick is.
If he had a bad shot or like bad hands, you'd be like, oh, maybe it's because his stick's too short, too long, whatever. But it clearly works for him. He's the second ranked player in the draft.
I mean, stick length is all preference, right? And it has a lot to do with your play style. Like, I'm not a tall guy, but my stick comes up to the bridge of my nose. I use a very long stick relative to my height.
Yeah, it's 3.5 feet long.
Yeah, and but that's because I play like a very head up style. I have a more upright skating stride than most people, so a long stick comes in advantage. And again, stick length doesn't affect shot, hands, anything like that, because it's, again, how you play. My puck handling is the strength of my game. So counter to normal thoughts with stick length, I'm the opposite, but it works in my favor because that's just my play style. It's irrelevant.
Messes with my head because I'm like, this guy's skating with his torso straight up. He should not be moving this fast.
Yeah, but that's just how I've always played. I chest up, chest forward. I've got short legs though. Like, relative to the dimensions of my body, I should be even shorter than I am. But yeah, it's just like people don't even ever think about how anatomy actually comes into play in playing styles, because I didn't have another option. Like, if I played hunched over, like with how I'm proportioned, it would be bad.
Yeah, Paul Rudd as Ant-Man would play you in your what's it called? Documentary film.
There we go.
RC Tendy says, I know we're not a lock to take Perfetti, but if we did, what can we expect of him in the near future? 2 to 3 years away. And is his possible ceiling, and what's his possible ceiling if he's able to increase his pace of play? My hope is if we take him, he can be a Braden Point type.
He plays a very different style than Braden Point. If you're ever picking a player in the top 5, you should never have 3 years away. Honestly, unless you're picking maybe a goalie in the top 5.
Especially when it's the Red Wings.
Yeah. So it would be 1 to 2 years away. But he will be going back to junior because he is not ready for the NHL. Playing style with Perfetti's tough because he plays like he's 6'2", but he's 5'10", 5'11" with how he slows the game down to his pace. So again, he's very smart, unbelievably skilled with the puck, great shot for a guy his size. But the thing is, he is kind of a unicorn. There are not players like him out there right now that kind of raises why Perfetti's such a wild card in this draft, because he's hard to project.
James Phoenix says, hey there, lads. Good news, as the Glenfiddich didn't quite finish me off, so I'm back for more as the Wings' emotional roller coaster continues. Where do you think Jack Quinn drafts, given his strong finish to the OHL season? 89 points in 62 games with the 67s. Can't be ignored. I have him at 9 or 10. We had him today. I can tell you right now. We had him at 11, so yeah. I think that will be around his range. Also thought the comments coming from Rob Blake in LA and Pierre Dorian from Ottawa on the last 31 thoughts were extremely interesting, both echoing that there were multiple options at play. So I wonder if Ottawa opt for that all-elite center or a defenseman with that third pick, knowing that Sanderson isn't too far behind, as I just can't see Byfield or Stützle slipping to 4. Cheers, boys, as always, for your continued optimism in these troubled times. And FYI, for that warm, fuzzy feeling, roughly 19 years ago today, that Hasek trade thing happened. And in 1993, we acquired Chris Draper from the Jets in exchange for $1 or future considerations. Hashtag can't be a hater of the Dominator. Evan Beckner says, seems like everyone is throwing out their opinion on how to improve the draft, so I figured I'd toss in my 2 cents, about $5 Canadian. What if we kept the lottery the way it is? Any team in the bottom 15 can win, odds decided by standings, top 3 picks up for grab, etc. But teams are awarded extra percentage points based off of how many picks they fell in the prior year's draft. Obviously, it's not perfect, but it would help teams, specifically the Wings, from feeling screwed if they fall. Since teams in the bottom 3 are more likely to fall, it would still help the worst teams more, while still maintaining a compelling lottery that will get those sweet, sweet advertising dollars.
I mean, anything is better than the current system. So if you wanted to up the odds for the teams that fell and then stop rewarding the New Jerseys and the Edmontons of the world, sure, I'm all for it.
Evan Pardo says, do you see any world where Perfetti sticks at center?
Not in the NHL.
It's possible. I think it's definitely possible. If what his coaches and the team around him say is true, and this guy takes a lot of good strides with his development physically and, with his actual strides, I think it's there. He has the brain and the talent for it. Blake Medler says, well, boys, tomorrow I'm off on a great adventure to Smith-Ferkistan. I'm still recovering from the better part of a week of binge drinking induced by evil lottery balls, but I want to say thanks for sending out the package. Blake's the one who flew that flag on his previous deployment way back, so we sent him another podcast flag and some goodies. Hopefully I get to rep the pod in some cool places and introduce fellow Wings fans to the show. I'll be leaning on you guys pretty heavily for some top tier content to get me through the next 6 to 7 months, especially while I'm in quarantine prison camp for the next few weeks. Hopefully I don't drop the soap. I'll try to provide updates on the living situation, which I'm sure is going to be just fantastic. Too much Corona talk 1 star says, good day, Duds, and happy born in the USA Canada Day / UFA Day. So who is signing Taylor Hall? The Red Wings' last-minute effort to try and get Alexis Lafreniere. Out of the following players who've won a cup, who is objectively the best Canadian-born player? No explanation required. Just name the best Canadian-born player.
Wayne Gretzky? Sorry,
no. He's giving us a list of players. He's giving us a list of players, and we have to name the best Canadian-born player, and we're not allowed to give explanation. Zdeno Chara, Andrei Kopitar, Patrick Kane, Alex Ovechkin, and Darren Helm.
Well, it has to be Darren Helm.
I agree. I think
high flying, high
no explanations.
Darren, that's just his name. That's not even an explanation.
Worst loss by a Canadian team in an international competition. He named it right here. 2011 World Junior Championships to Mother Russia, right? That one was devastating.
That was the one where they blew the 3-goal lead in the third?
Yep,
that's the one.
Yeah, and that started a long streak, or was amidst a long streak of Canadian World Junior teams underperforming. That one sucked. Jersey time in honor of Canada Day. What are the 3 best US and A jerseys who have been used in any international competition? Stay Fresh cheese bags, but also do a Freedom and Liberty on the 2020th birthday of Canada.
God, the United States jerseys are generally just so boring. I honestly can't even separate them in my head right now. I'm thinking of the mid-90s ones, the Miracle on Ice jerseys, and then their current iteration feels a lot like the Miracle on Ice jersey, so...
I'd say Miracle on Ice, the current iteration, but with like the Ranger style diagonal lettering. And then I've always liked the S that turns into the flag.
That was the 90s one, right?
Yeah, 90s, early 2000s. I know they used that against Canada in the 2002 Olympics.
Yeah, that one was all right.
Okay, time for 1 or 2 Reddit questions here. White Lightning 91 wrote us a haiku. And now a haiku for alcohol can no longer ease the pain in my soul. Creative expression must do. Sad we are today, ripped from our grasp. Alex was the jinx. Trebucket. Applause snaps. Thank you. Buffalo Soldier, insightful question. Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night I can feel the defense. The defense and my goaltending, even my forwards, the talent we've lost, the prospects that busted won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there. You feel it too, don't you? Yeah, with every breath. Topaz Lavalier says, do you ever feel like other fans treat the current crappy rebuild like the Red Wings are paying penance, like they have to be bad as punishment for the streak and our 4 Stanley Cup wins? Yeah, it's probably the most annoying thing that happens from opposing fans. Like, for any of you guys who interact with us on Twitter, you know, a lot of the times we'll take like an objective view whenever we can. And it's tough because you always want to acknowledge your bias. But at the same time, I don't understand the notion of people wishing or saying the Red Wings deserve to all this bad luck. I can understand wishing, you know, bad luck on the Red Wings. If you're a rival, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what sports are about. Not everyone should be nice, but at the same time, like, the Red Wings deserve this. No, man, like, they did things the right way, you know? Like, I don't know what else people want.
I think because we had so much success that we don't deserve more success. Like, sorry, we ran our team properly for a long time. I don't want to say we ran the team the right way the past, trying to keep the playoff streak alive, but
it's good for the league.
Every other team could do the exact same thing, really.
So if you became a fan of the Red Wings in the last 10 years, you can just go screw yourselves. You don't deserve happiness. Sorry, kids.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't understand, Brad was being sarcastic because of Red Wings fans from the last 10 years have not experienced happiness. Okay, with that, before Evan literally sprints out the door, we are going to wrap up this episode. We want to thank you guys all for listening. Exciting interview coming up for next episode. A lot of great content coming up. I'd like to thank all of our listeners, our Patreon subscribers. Check the most recent Patreon post, by the way. There's a little goodie in there for you guys. Name level sponsors: the septic tank of that bitch Carol Baskins, Greach, Jeremiah Adobo, Jake Kiefer, Drunky the Dwarf, Brad Smith, Andrew Bohan, Scott Martin, Jacob Turner, Matt McKay, Brandon M., Matthew M. Rice, Luke Johnson, Clayton Van Dyken, Kalen Wood, Hassam Al-Qassem, Arjun Shankar, Charlie Elkins, Hannah Lee, Birthday Boy Trev, Chris Ripley, Alex Ott, Ashley Van Conant, Chris Frank, Connor Leighton, Danny Jr., Matthew Keeler, Simon Anderson, Antonio Gracias, John Evans, Kay Waz, and Stan Olson. Thank you all so much. We love you. For the Canadians, happy Canada Day. From all of our American listeners, happy upcoming 4th of July. Be safe, have fun, celebrate, enjoy the sun, and we will see you on Sunday.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.